citadel for the Congress, the state of Karnataka. The state of Karnataka that had just about voted the Congress very comfortably into power, and it was believed would write the script for the resurgence of the Congress party, really coming down to the margins of the Lok Sabha elections. So I think I'm very surprised by Karnataka.
Amitabh, you are the state that shocks you the most in this.
No, I would say that as a concept, what shocks me the most is that the elections are not fought on social media. It is ultimately fought on the ground. And if you don't have soldiers on the ground, you will not be able to convert any mahal in votes in your favor. So that's what the message, what the exit polls are showing.
Shugata.
I mean, I agree with him. Social media is not social base. I think that's the thing that comes out from this. Congress was very, very aggressive on social media, but social media is not the social base.
Because there are ifs, you can't have shocks, you see. So, because the if always allows you to deal with the shock. I think the overall numbers seem to suggest the range that we have been talking of on NDTV is more or less correct. That's, I think, one point. On Karnataka, I think, once again, the Karnataka voter focusing on Lok Sabha and not the state is what this result which we are having in our exit poll shows. Yeah. But again, a big if there, going by what Manisha ji also said. We thought there was some movement going on in Karnataka, but if the exit poll is right, I think
let's also not forget state like Kerala, where some of the exit polls are saying 0 to 3 for the BJP. Now, that could be a shocker. State of Tamil Nadu, where the exit polls are suggesting 2 to 4, some of them for the NDA. So all of them could be extremely interesting.
I think the predictability of the election, the predictability of this election that we thought before the Pran Pratishtha ceremony and after that remains in some ways very similar to what we are seeing right now.
Well, that's all we have time for on this, but Rishika Barua is up next along with Vasudha to take you through more of these exit polls and the poll of polls that we are putting up here.
Headlines you start your day with. What matters worldwide is now in the palm of your hands. Get ready to seize the day and maximize your financial potential. Stay ahead of the curve with all you need to know on NDTV Profit.
Listen to the voices of reason as they talk about corporate health and investing principles with me, Neeraj Shah, on my show, Talking Point.
Co-powered by Canara Bank. Together we can.
Let's be real, guys. There are many financial experts out there. Which stocks to target? What's good for long term? When to buy? When to sell?
Some people say, hey, you know,
Different people believe in different things. In cricket, some hail the king, some believe in God. Some wait for Mr. Right, some believe in swiping right. Some run away from risk, others run after it. For some, kids mean babies. For others, kids mean puppies. Some want a home to settle in the future. Some want to roam the world today. Some make a career in a company. Some make a career out of building companies. But when it comes to money, everybody believes in only one thing. Profit, profit, profit. And for profit, watch only NDTV Profit. We all love money.
Headlines you start your day with. What matters worldwide is now in the palm of your hands. Get ready to seize the day and maximize your financial potential. Stay ahead of the curve with all you need to know on NDTV Profit.
Listen to the voices of reason as they talk about corporate health and investing principles with me, Neeraj Shah, on my show, Talking Point.
Let's be real, guys. There are many financial experts out there. Which stocks to target? What's good for long term? When to buy? When to sell? How do you stay ahead of all the financial noise to achieve your dreams?
You can accomplish all your financial dreams. Let us worry about giving you the right investing insights on the Portfolio Manager.
Bro, what are you doing?
I'm trading FNOs.
So, have you made any money?
Oh, it's simple. If you think the market is moving upwards, just buy Nifty call option. But if you think the market could slide downwards,
Simplifying futures and options trading.
Don't worry about the future.
We've got your options covered.
Futures and options strategy that will help you move with the tide.
An unmissable trade.
If you want to be in the money.
Different people believe in different things. In cricket, some hail the king, some believe in God, some wait for
welcome to this exit poll special on NDTV Profit. I'm Tamanna Inamdar. Why should you watch our special show when you are probably completely suffused with a barrage of numbers across channel? Well, I'll tell you why. First of all, we're going to give you the clean cut of numbers that is useful to you. We're also going to tell you what this means when trade opens on Monday morning, because remember, that's what we're trying to see. All right, let's start with the poll of polls we have so far. And most polls are already out, save a couple of them. So let's look at the major ones that are out right now. And we've picked 5. What is the picture over here? So if I look at Jan Ki Baat 377 for the NDA, D Dynamics 371, P Mark Q 359, Maitreys has a range, upper end is 368, TV5 Telugu has 359. The headline over here, if I had to just break it down for you of what this actually means, is that as per the exit polls, with the standard disclaimers that these are projections, this is not the final result, etc., show that you're going to have a third term of the NDA very, very comfortably. For the market, the big factor has been whether the BJP alone tops its 303 figure in 2019 and whether the NDA is comfortably poised or not. Now, as per these numbers, that seems to be very clearly this case. So you're going to have, if I take these at face value, a Modi 3.0 taking place with a comfortable victory, which, if true, after 10 years in power is astonishing. We'll get into more of the detail where, if you look at the deep cut of these numbers, it seems like the BJP has made a headway into the south, better than what was expected. They have done very well in Odisha, where they decided to go head on with the BJD, and Uttar Pradesh has not been as much of a worry as was first expected. Maharashtra seems to be the other interesting and exciting story, where no one was sure what would happen after all the political turmoil over the last 5 years. that whole experiment of BJP plus one faction of the Shiv Sena plus one faction of the NCP seems to have worked as per these polls. So what does this all mean? How do you break it all down? We're going to get every cut of the story for you, and to speak on this, I have today with me Aditi Phadnis, contributing editor at Business Standard. Gurmeet Chadda, managing partner and CIO at Complete Circle, is also joining us today, and Deepan Mehta, founder and director of Elixir Equities, is with us. So is Rohit Chandavarkar, senior journalist and someone who understands Maharashtra, I think, better than most analysts that you would see. So great to have you on. And lovely to speak with all of you. We'll also be joined by Sandeep Ghosh in just a minute from now. So let's start with what the key takeaway is and what the numbers are showing right now. And all those numbers will be constantly on your screen. Rohit, I want to come to you first, because Maharashtra was always considered to be the X factor that no one could quite read. Now, even if you take these polls not with a pinch of salt, take it with a bag of salt, does it seem on the face of it, you're laughing there, does it seem on the face of it that this BJP experiment of a faction of Sena, or you'd call now whoever's left the faction, part Sena, part NCP, seems to have worked?
Tamanna, maybe I can take the risk of saying that it looks like, and I'm again sticking my neck out, maybe, looks like the picture in Maharashtra is going to be slightly different from the picture in the rest of the country. When I say that, what I mean is, the overall trend in the exit polls seems like the markets, as you mentioned, are going to cheer on Monday morning. That is the baseline. I mean, that's what we are looking at basically. So the overall trend seems to be that NDA is going to be back in power. The BJP-led government will continue, is what the trend is. However, the picture in Maharashtra seems to be the experiment, to come to your question, experiment done by the BJP of going with new alliance partners may have backfired as far as Maharashtra is concerned. That is the second thing that we can see after the first thing we saw about NDA coming back to power. So it looks like most of the projections done by OTT platforms also, Marathi OTT platforms, which I have been avidly watching last 1 or 2 days, generally the trend seems to be the BJP might not be able to go over 22 or 23 seats, including their alliance partners, that is Eknath Shinde's Shiv Sena and Ajit Pawar's NCP, which means it is bad news for Eknath Shinde, present Chief Minister of Maharashtra, in terms of his prospects and his upcoming political career. And it's very bad news, even worse news, for Ajit Pawar. So the picture in Maharashtra may be slightly different, but overall picture seems to be that NDA might be back in power. And my general hunch, looking at the picture in Karnataka or Bihar or other places, is that they might need new alliance partners after all. I don't think it's going to be a clean sweep for NDA, looking at the picture in Bihar and other places. But yes, the bigger picture is that NDA, Modi-led NDA or BJP-led NDA may be back in power, and that's what I've been saying on few shows. Last point about Maharashtra is that because the markets are based in Mumbai, Maharashtra, and it's like the industrial highest amount of industries concentrated in this state and leading industrial state, we might see some kind of turmoil in Maharashtra politics in the coming weeks and coming months. That is the next story that will emerge, and BJP might think about changing their alliances in Maharashtra, because remember, within 5 months there's going to be Maharashtra assembly election happening. So that also we have to keep our eyes on that also. But the larger picture seems to be that for now there is going to be no turmoil in Delhi and at the central government level. Tamanna.
Yeah. So Maharashtra, the picture still needs to be clearer. Bihar, the picture needs to be clearer. But what is the headline that viewers are going to take away? And that really is the question, that in terms of the Modi government coming back to power fairly comfortably after 10 years, and despite all of the murmurs that we heard, is that now in the bag as per the exit polls? Aditi Phadnis, if someone now today says, and probably viewers are going to ask, but exit polls are often inaccurate. But then if you look back at 2014 and 2019, the exit polls actually ended up underestimating what the final tally would be for the BJP and the NDA.
I mean, with all due respect to exit polls, I'm sure they do it very scientifically and so on. But one is the mathematics of the election and the other is the chemistry of the elections. So the chemistry, two or three things came out during the campaign. One was the extreme uh, discomfort on account of unemployment. People said we will still vote BJP, but they were extremely concerned about levels of unemployment. So that theme came out clearly from across India. The second was this issue of changing the constitution to take away or to reduce the affirmative action element of reservation for lower social castes. That also, I think, was a self goal largely done by the BJP, which got carried away by its 400 plus and upper caste MPs across India said that you have to give us 400 plus because we need to change certain things in the constitution. That was entirely a self goal. It was not there before the campaign started, so that was also it. But overall, exit polls seem to suggest that there is marginal difference between BJP-led NDA's existing numbers and the numbers that they're likely to get. So, frankly, I mean, all this talk of sweep, etc., is possibly, exaggerated. But certainly, there is an increasing vote share for the BJP, particularly in the southern states.
Is the possibility of 350 plus of NDA not considered a sweep? I mean, what would you consider a sweep?
Well, 350 for NDA is not what BJP had said it would get.
Okay. So you're holding them to 400 par. You're holding them to 400 par, which no poll is saying today.
Because that would, in their own assessment, that would be a sweep.
Okay. Sandeep Ghosh, great to see you after a while. And I'm going to take that to you as well, that if you've set the bar at 400 par, then even if you get, the gold medal and the first prize, you've not beaten your own record with the pace that you said you would. And that will be seen as not a clean sweep. Would you agree with that?
That's fair, Tamanna, with due respect to Aditi. It's like you setting up, you're starting NDTV Profit and expecting to set a benchmark for yourself. And if you're close to it and people see you haven't crossed it, it doesn't make a difference. Like yesterday, I was here, happened to be here, and I attended a niece's, passing out. And there the principal was saying that don't think that if you're 90 plus, you're A grade, and if it's 89.5, you're B. That is a very, very wrong takeout. So I don't think that's the point. But I'll harp on two things, Tamanna. One is, again, on the same thing, is very unfair that in the same election, somewhere you hold people accountable that if they cross 100, it's a huge sweep for them. And that is what you're looking at for one party, saying that will they cross 100? If they do, that means they're on a huge comeback trail. And another party, if they fall short of 400, you're saying that they're a failure. I don't think that's a very fair yardstick. But coming back to, I think, what Rohit was saying, and more pertinent for your viewers, I don't think...
One sec, Sandeep. Just 1 minute, because Aditi wants to respond to that point you made. And in all fairness, since you refer to a point, let her just respond to it before I come to your point too. Yes, Aditi.
No, nobody is making any observations about fairness or unfairness. These are only exit polls after all. The point is that BJP set a target for itself. You can call it 82 or 85 in an exam out of 100 and, setting a kind of a target to motivate its workers or whatever. But the fact is it set a target for itself, right? And if it does not reach that target, well, what could have gone wrong? So these are questions which are can be legitimately raised when you do a post-mortem after the final result comes out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a fair thing, and that's what analysts, all of us have been doing when against that 400 claim also. That how far realistic the 400 claim was, how much was it to charge the cadre, and how much of it is where the BJP's weaknesses lay. All that I'm granting, Aditi. I'm not saying that, but I would not sort of take away if they're doing 350 plus, etc. The point which you made that they are not improving upon the previous one is a point to be reckoned with, and that's all that is there. Anyway, coming back to, I don't think we're really having a major difference of views on that. Coming back to the point which Rohit was mentioning earlier, Tamanna, I feel the markets were at no stage expecting BJP not to come back. But what would have hurt the BJP market sentiments is if there was a slide in the BJP numbers to the level when people are saying were saying that whether they'll struggle to get to 272 or they'll be barely above 272 over there. I think that would have hurt the market sentiments more. Because one point I have said in many of my articles in the last couple of weeks, in India, for good or for bad, it's not like Biden coming back and you're sure that next 4 years things are going to be at the same kind of policies are going to continue. In India, because of this perpetual election system, just as Rohit was saying, people will wait as soon as this comes out. These results, what is going to happen 4 months down the line in the Maharashtra thing, and then again 4 months further down the line on the other state elections. So nothing is a done deal. As soon even if BJP got a 400 plus, it doesn't mean that Mr. Modi is going to be able to carry on that stream for less. So the points, those are very, very.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think that's an interesting point to debate. So nothing really was a bar for NDA 1 and NDA 2 to do in terms of what they promised policy-wise. They have ticked most of those boxes. Why should this be seen as, this number, if it is final, be seen as any kind of a bar? But you talked about the market reaction. Let me get that word in from Gurmeet and Deepan, who've been waiting by very, very patiently. But by the way, Gurmeet and Deepan, there is no reason why you shouldn't have a political assessment on the numbers if you wish, because the fact is in the last few weeks, everyone has become a political analyst. So there's no harm if you have your own number as well and your own assessment of the numbers. I'll start with Gurmeet though. Gurmeet, market's going to be happy? Gap up Monday from these exit polls?
Yeah, absolutely. I think from a market point of view, they want continuity. Anything above 272 for BJP alone, markets would have been very happy. But if the number is more, as the polls say, I think there could be a slight better reaction. Also, FIs have been very short on markets. Surprisingly, I've been trying to figure out why. They added 3 lakh contracts short. I'm not a technical guy, but there's a lot of contracts on the short side. They've sold in cash more than 40,000 crores in the month of May. And obviously, some of it was tactical. So if you see China last 3 months, various indices have returned between 18 to 20%. So some of it was tactical because China had come with the stimulus, valuation was comfort. But India was probably the only market in EM they sold so aggressively. So it was a little surprising to me. And, I mentioned it that, probably they are getting carried away by optical valuations. Also, if you see Nifty from a 5-year perspective, Tamanna, it's up like 15%. The earning growth is around also 15%. So it's not that we sometimes get carried away by seeing near-term returns. I think the markets are giving returns in line with what the earnings are. So happy. I think there'll be some short covering. I also think all polls are pointing to the same direction, barring one Dainik Bhaskar, which is the lower end is 281. I think most of them are saying 350 plus. And typically in a two-sided contest, because this is more or less a two-sided contest in most Lok Sabha seats, barring a few states like Punjab, etc., that margin on the winning side then tends to go up. So I'll not be surprised if the number could be even closer to 375 plus for NDA and much closer to what the government started with. In that case, I think the reaction would be similar to December when BJP won most state elections. And I think there will be a lot of policy continuity. So I think FIs will going to come back. And this coincides with the bond yield inclusion. So lower cost of borrowing, I think it's a golden combination for markets.
Yeah, it's a golden combination for markets come Monday. We've been talking about whether markets are ripe for a correction. Deepan, this is something you've been also highlighting, that valuations have begun to look uncomfortable, etc. What is the kind of reaction you see to a number like this? Because if the market had now consoled itself that anything above 272 for the BJP is good enough, I'm not talking about the NDA figure. I don't think there was a major doubt of whether the government would come back into power. But the BJP figure was what everyone's watching. Even if I look at the most conservative estimate, it seems very clear that BJP will be above 272 as per these polls. And you're looking at a possible much higher upside. What do you think will be the response as far as the street is concerned?
Tamanna, good evening and thank you for having me on your show. So basically, we've had a correction, a minor correction of 400-500 Nifty points going into the election results. And what I also optically see is that a lot of traders are pretty much light on the markets, and we've seen the implied walls also zoom up right until yesterday or so. So my sense is that on Monday, we may see coming back of these long positions, lower implied walls as well, and we may recover some of the lost ground of the last week, which we saw a correction. And on the whole, I think the street will heave a sigh of relief because one major uncertainty will be over and done with, and we'll worry about it only 5 years going forward. And it's going to be business as usual. I think you can expect the same kind of policies. And if the number is exceptionally high, and then you can sense that in the Rajya Sabha also they will have a fantastic majority, then you can really expect some serious legislation, maybe on the on industrial, policy, or for that matter, labor policies, or even some judicial reforms can take place because these are the kind of issues which now need to be addressed. I think a lot of progress has happened in the last 10 years or so. The entire tax system has been revamped. There's a lot of continuity and stability as far as direct taxes are concerned. But the tougher thing is labor policies and judicial reforms. And that would be the on top of the agenda. But on the whole, I think what this election result will be interpreted is an interpretation that average Indian wants progress, wants a government which can deliver in terms of improving his entire lifestyle. And that I think is the most important takeaway. And it'll give more impetus to the BJP to carry on with their policies the way they have been for the past 10 years or so. So I think the street will take it very, very positively. And you could expect a decent opening on Monday itself. I'm not sure whether you'll have a runaway rally even on the result day, if these are the kind of numbers you can expect. But at least I think investors, traders will start to gradually build up positions again. And yes, I do worry about valuations, but it's said that all bull markets climb the walls of worry. So we keep on worrying, but the street has its own mind.
Yeah,
and
I think those worry lines disappear when you see your portfolio getting healthier and healthier. So I think anyone who's worried about valuations will survive that. But I'm going to take a cue from what you said, Deepan. And as a political assessment, I think it's interesting. Let me get everyone in on this. Rohit, I'll come to you. If again, I keep saying if because this is a poll of polls. We have not done our own poll. We are showing you what everyone else is doing and giving you an assessment. We'll just pull up that plate as well, which is the average of all. So we've distilled it into one figure, which takes all the ends in together, and that's the figure. So 357 for NDA, so you top last time, 148 for India Alliance. So in that sense, if you look at how they were placed in 2019, and there was no India Alliance then, but at least that idea of opposition parties coming together seems to have worked for them, starting from where they were, and others 38. But to the point, Rohit, if this is what we're going to see on June 4th, isn't it a testimony that whatever the India Alliance was offering seems to have been rejected by the Indian voter? They were offering an alternative. They were saying that nothing has happened for you in 10 years. And it was a pretty strong campaign. One would say that towards the end, their campaign, especially social media speeches, etc., really caught steam better than what was expected. It's not a story the Indian voter seems to have bought.
Tamanna, there is two or three things that I'd like to say. Firstly, again, taking a risk, I might say that this number 357 seems to be slightly, over optimistic, of over optimistic. This is a little over optimistic, looking at the ground reality in states like Bihar, Maharashtra, Karnataka, and some other states, South, etc. Having said that, second thing is, there might be new alliance partners coming, old might not be there, etc. So those changes we can expect. Third thing is, the kind of mood that you saw among the opposition party leaders after polling happened at various stages in various places, and those people and their karyakartas, their activists, their local leaders, etc., usually get an idea of which way the polls have gone, and they know who has come out for voting, who has not, etc. So they know constituency-wise who's going to get how many seats, etc. If you look at the India Alliance, you specifically asked, their kind of enthusiasm looked much beyond this number of 148 that we are mentioning as the average exit poll number that we are giving India Alliance. When I say we I mean entire media of India.
That is a fair point, Rohit, and in this also it's a very I would say it's not an accurate methodology, because first of all, every poll, and you're looking at that poll on your screen right now over here, right? So every poll also has a range. Then you take a mean of that range, then you take an average of that mean. Then depends on which of there are about 20-25 polls out today. We've picked 5 or 6. You could pick any number, yes. And those. Yes. So inaccuracies abound. Yeah, I get that point.
Yeah, I'll just complete in a second. So the point I'm making is, while we can agree on the overall conclusion of these exit polls that NDA will be more or less back in power, NDA will again form the government, etc. I'm not exactly fully confident about the overwhelming majority that is being shown in these polls. In other words, I'm saying that NDA might have to, or BJP might have to, work on getting some alliance partners, etc. They will perhaps be close to 270, but I don't believe they'll be over 340, etc. or whatever these numbers are showing. Yes, they will form the government, but there will be some maneuvers required. And the markets, the industrialists, the investors, and others can wait till 4th and look at how this develops. I'm saying this on the basis of the ground reality that has got reflected among the leaders of India Alliance and the way they're reacting after the polls that have happened, and the kind of interviews they've given, and the cheering that I've seen among their activists, etc. On that basis, I'm drawing this conclusion. Okay. It's not going to be too bad for them.
Okay. So India Alliance leaders actually met after the last day of campaigning, and we'll run those pictures for you as well. And the point taken, Rohit. But when you're saying they'll have to get more in, are you in your assessment seeing NDA sub 272? NDA to sub 272? Is that what you are saying?
I'm saying NDA will be close to 272, perhaps. Till yesterday I was saying they might need 10, 12, 15, because look at the picture in Maharashtra. I'll go back to your original first question you asked. I can clearly see that NDA is dropping by 20 here. My friends in Bihar who are on the ground, they're giving me an assessment that in Bihar they'll be down by at least 12, 15. In Bengal, they did very well last time, so there is hardly any scope to do better. Similar situation in UP where they got 64. It's difficult to do even with Ram Mandir. It's kind of difficult to go much higher than that. Compared to that, look at the gain they're going to get in some of the states, which some of experts or psephologists are claiming that they'll gain in South or whatever. Those claims are not. Those claims are going to be in single-digit numbers. So overall, I'm saying that there is going to be a drop from 300. Okay. My point is, we don't know how much that drop will be from 300. Let's say 303 now to below sub 300. Let's not say below 272, but the drop might be up to 250 also. We can't depend on exit polls because the sample size and all. I don't want to make comments on that. I'm not an expert in that area.
No, agreed. We started the show saying that exit polls should be taken with a pinch of salt. I said bag of salt.
On the basis of ground reality that I watch.
Okay. So now, even if NDA, because I asked you because you made the point that they will need more allies. Even if the NDA makes it above 272, why would they need more allies was my question to you. But on your, Yes.
Last, I don't want to grab all the time, but my point is Mr. Narendra Modi, Amit Shah and others are past masters at, creating new alliances and speaking even with their alliance partners who have kind of gone away from them in the last 2 or 3 years. For instance, some in Maharashtra, some in Punjab, some in other places. I'm saying that some backdoor channel dialogue has been opened, that is by information. So the people in power are kind of aware of what kind of a situation is going to develop, perhaps, and we see over enthusiasm in media and kind of over optimism. That is my personal assessment.
All right, fair. And
the ruling party is preparing for some kind of new alliances, which we will see after 4th June.
Okay, so we obviously, at the end of the day, the underlying message is you have to wait for 4th June. In fact, Sandeep Ghosh, some might argue that even if they do get these numbers, they still might form new alliances, because those who are part of the India alliance or not part of the NDA right now may want to hop on. Who wants to be on the losing side? So I take the point of alliances, but it could be any reason.
Yeah, I take you've taken the words from my mouth. In fact, I was going to argue that BJP or Amit Shah, Narendra Modi are going to prove that 400 plus by getting new alliance partners on board. Even if their current combination falls short of 400, that would be my assessment. One, if I may point out, Rohit, you're not really comparing apples to apples when you're saying 303. 303 was BJP. It was not NDA. So when you're saying it's NDA falling below 272, that's a huge shift which you're talking about, because it is BJP 303. BJP falling below 272 is one thing, but to say NDA falling below 272 is a bigger change you are saying. The other point is, how I looked at NDA or BJP's Maharashtra strategy was this. Last time when you were looking at NDA, it was BJP plus Shiv Sena, the combined old Shiv Sena. Now, they were conscious of the fact that Shiv Sena going away, BJP by itself, they could not recover those seats. And what they did with the Shinde and Ajit Pawar is to buy insurance to see that those original numbers don't fall short. They still have the original count of 24 or whatever they had. And that is what they would try to achieve through this. The bigger hit would be, you are saying Bihar, and those are the compensating errors they would get not from Tamil Nadu and Kerala, which interestingly people are still showing a couple of seats in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, but I don't take them into account. What they're going to probably get from Andhra is partly going to do. And West Bengal, though I come from West Bengal, I would take your point about them not being able to better 18, but they're falling short of 18 is questionable right now. Better than 18 is for other reasons. So those apart, the point which all of us are saying, we cannot really get either carried away or spend too much time on this 350 odd numbers. What 350 odd numbers is showing that it's a comfortable majority they're looking at even now, and that's the I think the main takeaway which people will have at the end of today or this evening is if there were any kind of apprehensions or fears due to all this hype in social media or YouTube everywhere saying that no, there'll be Dakshin mein saaf and North mein half. That sort of a scenario is not emerging. And people will, I think, take that message out and then wait for 4th of June for the final verdict. That's how I see that. And another comment which I'd like to add, Tamanna, though you cannot extrapolate or anything what one is seeing sitting here in the US to India, because NRIs and OCIs ultimately don't vote. But one interesting phenomena which I saw, there are a lot of people who were earlier beginning to veer away from the Modi thing, and they were going against, barring some hardcore people like you might say Raghuram Rajan and Kaushik Basus of the world. There are a lot of people who I found were not really veering back towards Modi, but they got scared with some of these khatakat promises. And, they were thinking that, so you had a Dhume also writing in the Wall Street Journal that if Rahul Gandhi is serious about that, he might make India Venezuela. And those sort of concerns were coming to people. And I suspect when you're talking about the markets, etc., markets would have been worried with that sort of some kind of reversal. What Dipen was talking about the central changes that BJP could have by and large done even today.
So one minute. I have to take this forward because it's interesting. Khatakat. I want to get. In fact, I'm going to come to Aditi, but just before that, I'm going to get Deepan and Gurmeet in on this. So, for the markets now, the sense is, or the thought is, or the wisdom is that markets are veered towards BJP. But if you look at the data, and because of this whole exercise, we go back and look at data 2009 as well. When there was a clear government of UPA 2 for 2009, the markets cheered that as well. Even if the markets are only thinking about a stable government one way or the other, the khatakhat part would have bothered markets and economy. And for those who have not, seen all of those speeches, and what I'm talking about is a promise that Rahul Gandhi made at pretty much every speech with those sound effects, saying that if we come into power, then women in BPL families will get 8,500 rupees a month in their accounts, and it will come khatakat. Gurmeet, that is a concern for the markets, and I think anyone who watches the Indian economy.
No, absolutely, but I don't think so. People, with due respect, took it very seriously, to be honest. Also because of people have become sensible, and I always say this: exit polls are more scientific. This is a sample of 1 to 2 lakh voters. Most polls take. This is actual people voting, and a lot of scientific work being done. So just to do here and say, I'm from this state, I'm from MP, for example, I know what's happening in MP, or I stay in Noida, I'm from UP, I think is living in AC chambers and, speaking to people and forming a view. I think there's nothing more exact than exit poll. And you look at the success rate in India, for last elections, it's almost 80% plus for few of them. Without taking names, I don't want to get into that debate. Also, people are very clear, Tamanna. Look at last 12 state elections. When they had to give Karnataka or Telangana or Himachal to Congress, it gave a very thumping majority, almost 2/3. When they had to give, MP, Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan to BJP or UP to BJP, they gave it with a thumping majority. When they had to give West Bengal to Mamata Banerjee in assembly elections, they gave it. So I don't buy this argument of struggling 240 new alliances and all that. People are very clear.
Rohit, you want to respond?
Yeah. I'm just unmuting myself. Yes. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. So my point is, please understand that while Mr. Modi's popularity may be there, still there or whatever, we have to understand, when I say Mr. Modi and Amit Shah and others will have to look for perhaps new alliance partners, what I'm hinting at, and which is very obvious in Maharashtra, is that some of their alliance partners are going to do very badly. And that is very obvious for me. For instance, Mr. Nitish Kumar is likely to do very bad. I didn't want to take names. I didn't want to predict this kind of a thing because we have to wait till 4th. But now that the issue has come and some details are asked, I'm just mentioning this. My prediction is that Mr. Nitish Kumar is going to do badly than projected or predicted compared to previous elections. My projection is that Mr. Ajit Pawar's party is going to do badly in Maharashtra. My prediction is that Mr. Eknath Shinde's party is going to do badly in Maharashtra. My prediction is that Janata Dal, Mr. Deve Gowda in Karnataka is doing badly. It's clear. So my projection or prediction is that the alliance partners that the NDA right now has are going to do badly. And that's why I said they might be looking for new partners. That's my point. Tamanna.
Rohit, can I request you to please come back on the 4th? A chance per dance, but can I request you to come back on the 4th because you've made these predictions, you've looked at the exit polls, and we'd love to hear what you think and what you say once the numbers are out one way or the other. So that aside, we've got the Maharashtra poll of polls right now on your screen if you're looking at it, and it throws up a very interesting picture because there is a wide variance there. Remember, the BJP plus Shiv Sena in their original avatar did very, very well. I think over 40 seats out of 48, 42, if memory serves me right, in Maharashtra. And no one is giving them, of any of these polls, the full picture. But they seem to be still doing better in most of the polls compared to the India alliance. So Maharashtra is one question. Let's see what happens there. Aditi, at the end of the day, even if Maharashtra becomes a bit of a challenge and coming before an important state election, I want to circle back to the point that I raised with Gurmeet as well. the promise that the Congress came with, or the India Alliance came with, and Khatakhat is part of it. The other part is, where are the jobs? The other part is, what have they done in 10 years? And a lot of it focused on the Modi persona in a critical fashion, which is par for the course for an opposition party. Do you think there was enough on the table to offer to voters on what they would do instead, apart from Khatakhat?
Well, I think there was a lot that they were offering, but voters were in two minds about whether they would be able to deliver. Because frankly, even in Karnataka or elsewhere, the Congress stroke in India grouping or bloc has not really fully sort of realized or has not fully implemented what they had promised. We can go into the details, but I don't think that is germane for our discussion here today. My point is actually going beyond this, which is that let us assume that the NDA is going to form a government. The question is, what is going to be the BJP component, and is the BJP going to be strong enough to fend off pressures on it from other alliance partners, not necessarily political allies, but also within the Sangh Parivar? That's number one. Number two, what are the kind of things that it will hold back on if it is not in a position to assert itself fully in an alliance? So here the BJP number out of the NDA becomes more germane than the overall NDA number.
So I agree with you completely, Aditi, and in fact, I think that's the key that the market is looking at. That BJP component, or put simply, Modi should be able to do what he sets out to in term 3 for the picture to be effective. Very simply distilled, that's what the market has been looking at. Looking at the exit polls today, that seems to be very, very possible. There doesn't seem to be much of a fight, at least as per these exit polls.
Well, exit polls are giving a composite number to the NDA. I'm not sure what number they're giving to the BJP.
So the one which I saw was Jan Ki Baat, which is giving 325 to the BJP.
So it's like this: if the number of the BJP falls below 250 or falls below a certain number, then you can assume that Mr. Modi will be in a very hamstrung position and unable to deliver the things that people will ask him what went wrong.
So out of
this, on the other hand,
look at this chart on our screen right now. So it has all the polls and it doesn't have composite, but if I look at D dynamics at the lower end, I can't see that. Can we go back to the previous chart? If I look at D dynamics at the lower end, and they have given a very, very broad range. They've gone from 281 to 350. And if I look at Dainik Bhaskar, which has also gone from 281 to 350, possibly the same data. So that's the most conservative of the major polls. In a 281 situation for NDA, definitely what you are talking about, what Rohit is talking about, BJP sub 272 looks possible. But if I look at the rest, if I look at 362, 342, 371, 353, then you're seeing a BJP above a 272 quite comfortably. So there's one outlier.
We're guessing at the exact number of BJP, but look at it like this. If the BJP is above 303, which it was last time, its personal priorities, the Prime Minister's personal priorities, his selection of team will be much more to his choice rather than to other people's choices.
Deepan, are you seeing any kind of situation where that doesn't happen, seeing the exit polls, or I just want to, we don't know.
We don't know.
No, we don't know.
Exit polls are giving NDA figures. Only one, as you say, is giving the BJP figure.
At least that's what I've spotted so far. My question to Deepan was that how these questions about exit polls, etc., how much of that will be factored into how the street responds on Monday morning? Because I must say, looking at the kind of analysis and a lot of it, off screen, from people who track markets on the numbers has been astonishing. How closely people track the numbers, vote shares, and look at all of use all of their data capabilities to track politics as well. So, if some people are not taking the exit poll seriously, it's not required that the market will keep its eyes shut and say, "Acha, bahut acha number hai," and let's go all in. Those questions will be there for the market as well in its collective wisdom. Do you think that June 3rd is where those positions will be built, or there will be a wait for, say, midday on June 4th?
No, I think, Tamanna, the street was expecting these kind of numbers, okay? And it had gone light deliberately on the safer side, assuming that these numbers did not come through. But now that these exit polls are showing the numbers which the street has kind of priced in, I think you will see a decent amount of build up in positions again as well. And then, of course, I think the big day will be on Tuesday. From the time the market opens, we'll keep getting the numbers and the leads, and accordingly, I think it will react to it. But broadly, I think kind of a status quo, 10, 15, 20 more seats for BJP NDA was what was the kind of base scenario, and that seems to be playing out in these opinion polls. The problem will be if the numbers are lower than last year. And it's not that to do with the stability in the government, but more to do with how will the government or how will BJP NDA interpret those results. Because if you get less number of seats, then you're going to tilt more towards populism, and that's not good for the market. But if you have the same number of seats or higher, then it's just a vote on progress. It's a vote that the government policies have worked, and that's what India wants more and more from the NDA and BJP. And that is what I think will be reflected in the stock prices. So just that, how does BJP and NDA and how does the country at large interpret the numbers? I think that's the more important question on hand, because less number of seats than last time would mean that they'll have to do more populism and maybe more alliances. That's something which the street will not like. But higher number of seats means that they will go even more strongly on all the economic policies which they have followed, and whatever work was not done, they will take those even tougher decisions and maybe bite the bullet on some of the more controversial aspects of the economy.
What is in that wish list, Deepan, in terms of controversial aspects of the economy? I always wonder, because a lot seems to have been done. So from that point of view, what is the street looking out for?
Oh, I think that labor policies, I know that it's a state subject, but they could put that down considerably, because they want to focus on manufacturing and industry, and they want to attract FDI over there. So that's one thing where reforms are much needed. I think judicial reforms also are desperately needed, considering the kind of long queues which are there in settling and giving judgments. So you could expect some more reforms over there, so that the entire judicial system can be speeded up, more appointments, maybe some changes over there. And I think apart from that, even more investment in infrastructure. I think we still have, we're just about catching up with the demand, with the requirement for infrastructure. But I think it would mean even more investment in infrastructure. And they will take the lower interest rates with both hands, and all the money which is coming in because of India getting into the bond index and accessing the global markets to fund infrastructure. That's something which they will do quite aggressively. But one thing I'll tell you, Tamanna, you've not got into stock specific or industry specific, but this does mean that PSUs, industrial, capital goods, the rally over there just continues no matter what the valuations are.
Gurmeet, you second that? I saw you nodding.
No, I think immediate reaction would be there in PSU, railway, defense names, which has been the case. But I agree with Deepan, some of these, can't pay 50, 60 earning multiples to irrespective of how big or lumpy the order book is. I think more importantly, in fact, I'm on the other side. I think the numbers are in line. It is good. If the numbers are very high, they could go ahead and do capital gain tax changes, which may not be great news for the market. So I'll be very happy if the numbers are in line, which Deepan said is the base case. Which India also needs a good opposition. We can do the drum beating and like big mandates and all. I think, but for a healthy democracy, you need the right balance. And if the current numbers hold like around 350 for the NDA, 300, 310 for BJP, I think it's the right balance. I'm nobody to decide the number. But I always say people give clear mandates. They've been giving it for a while. We should not question the wisdom of, almost 1 billion people who are eligible for vote. Secondly, I think, Tamanna, most importantly, then you have budgets. And I think if you see, we are at a cusp of a inflection point. Our capacity utilization is 75%. See the gross capital fixed formation, it's touching 30% of GDP. Of that gross capital fixed formation, 35% is private corporation. So this is now a private sector-led capex as well. It's not just government spending and reviving the investment cycle. And any continuity with the focus government has had on the investments and capex, it's very good for the economy. And I keep saying this: if we can grow 8% when Fed rates are 5.5%, 6%, when there is global turmoil, when the supply chains are disrupted, we will do much better as supply chains ease and interest rates, the other cycles start. So it's looking very ominous for India. And I personally think we have the best decade ahead of us.
So it's looking very promising for India, I think is what you mean. So in fact, for the street, the GDP data, the GDP figure, which has come in at 8.25 FY24 is astonishing. Sandeep, just on that point, anyone who watches the Indian economy has not found a convincing argument for the India alliance. And do you think that is, maybe that's the political strategy? But the whole conversation, the whole narrative has not been on this line of increasing manufacturing, reducing the fiscal deficit and all of the economic side of things. And do you think that's been sort of a miss?
No, that's not sort of a miss. I think maybe that's a calculated strategy in terms of their electoral strategy. That's what the India Alliance, or especially Congress, took. I don't think the Congress allies went into that mode. They were very, very reticent about on the economic front, what they're going to be their approach to an industrialist, etc. And they were pragmatic about that. Congress was going hammer and tongs about Adani, Ambani, and even, in earlier times, Priyanka Gandhi made statements as what do people manufacture nowadays, all that. So they were coming through. In fact, towards the end, Jairam Ramesh had to make some comforting noises saying that, no, when we come, we'll do a bit of both. We are going to have these policies that trying to assuage the apprehensions of the street as well as the industrial community. So that's the point I was making to you earlier also, sitting here in the US, meeting some people or talking to some people, I was hearing that whole thing. There was a lot of, discomfort as soon as with this Khadakat and other principle. The point, what I'd like to link to this, Aditi was making this point about how much is BJP numbers. I think the same thing holds true for India. My own assessment is in line with what Rohit was saying. The NDA allies are going to do much worse, or they are not going to add incremental numbers too much to the NDA thing. So you'll find when you're talking of 350, etc., the bulk of the contribution will have to come from BJP. So I don't see if 350 happens, BJP sliding down and riding piggyback on their current allies. They may have to get other people. Equally, I don't know what's the split in the India Alliance, because India Alliance, how much is Congress getting and how much others? I think they're the allies will bring in much more votes for the India Alliance when you're seeing the total numbers. And that's where I think the game was also being played in this election, Tamanna, between the two things. There were two sets of India Alliance fights were happening. One were the regional fights, which, whether in West Bengal, it is the TMC, which was really fighting BJP. If you go down south, also there, or Maharashtra, when you're talking about, it was the Shiv Sena, Uddhav, and NCP original, which were fighting the BJP or the NDA, rather than not so much of Congress. Congress could have had more, share of voice or the share of TV time. But these are the people who were doing those fights. And that's where the equation will tilt. What finally you find happening, and that's what, again, I think Rohit was alluding to, if you're finding in this 130 or whatever, if the share of the allies is much higher, that's where you'll find BJP trying to swing some of them. back on their side.
I think that's an interesting prediction, that if the BJP, if the NDA falls short of 400, they might still scoop up more allies or parties from the other side, saying that I promised 400, I will make 400 happen. But again, that will be a vanity number because you don't need that to run. So, you know, as we wrap up this, we're going to do an interesting exercise. It's the day for numbers. And each of you, I'm sure, have your own number after seeing the polls, etc. We're going to go around and get each of your numbers. Don't hold back, because no one is going to come back on the June 4th day and, you know, hold your collar and say, why did you say this number? complete immunity from that, because today is the day where you can put out a number and, you know, with that disclaimer. So let me start with Aditi. Aditi, what is your own number at the end of this?
For the BJP alone, I think it should be hovering around 320. And the implications of BJP being 320 are that you will see a continuity in the between the interim budget and the final budget. Not too many unpleasant surprises from the point of view of the markets. You will see a personnel policy, that is manpower policy in the government, in the Council of Ministers, which will be that of Prime Minister Modi and Modi alone, and not other people jumping up and saying we want this and we want that. That will also mean that some heads will roll, and it will be very interesting to see which heads those will be.
Okay, let me take that question to you, Gurmeet.
As I said, I think the mandate will be decisive. So if BJP has to do badly, it will not be 240, 250, it will be much lesser. Odds are very low. I would put probably anywhere between 315 to 330 for the BJP. I think the lead, and you know, with a chance of some upside. And I think that's been taken very positively by the markets, both from a continuity and from a reforms perspective.
Now, you have to give number. This is that part of the show where you give a number.
See, as I said, 315 to 330 for the BJP,
okay.
350 plus for the NDA.
Okay, 315 to 330 for the BJP. Deepan, what's your number?
I'll give 350 for the NDA. Stick to that.
Okay, 350 to the NDA. And Rohit, what about you?
Yeah, if this is rapid fire, you know, like coffee with current kind of a thing.
Why not? Why not? We're all here on a Saturday evening. Why not have some fun out of it?
Yeah. So on a you know, this is all on a lighter note. So I think you know, BJP will be around, just BJP will be around somewhere between 250 and 260.
Okay.
And total NDA, that is other partners of BJP, totally unpredictable. I can't say. I don't know whether they'll be able to, you know, take BJP up to 300 or whatever. But BJP will be little over 250, around 250 to 260. They might have to look for new partners. That's my prediction. Rapid fire over.
Okay, Sandeep, you get the last line on the rapid fire. None of you get any hampers to go home with.
No, but I think Rohit is our only outlier. All of us seem to be aligned at 350 plus minus 5 for NDA. BJP again 320 plus minus, I would say 10 over there. I take BJP up to 330. And when I'm talking of NDA, I will say NDA in its present state. And there are, you know, taking the best of both worlds from Rohit. You may find some reconfiguration, taking BJP further up with some people jumping the ship if they find BJP. You know, both ways. Sorry, Tamanna, not taking rapid fire. If what Rohit is saying is true, you might actually find a slight back of NDA partners going towards India. If BJP falls short of the 272 mark.
Yeah.
Similarly, if BJP goes up to 320 plus, you would find the reverse thing happening.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be on the winning side. And today, to use our business thing, I keep on saying shelf life. Shelf life of politicians, political parties have also shrunk. And if people know that for the next 5 years they're not going to be in business, they would all be worried. Everybody would like to be in business for the next 5 years. So if they have a chance to join a winning side, they would jump across and join the winning side rather than stay in wilderness. Because a lot of your the NDA or the other partners, if you find the leaders, they're all getting on in years, and they would, even if to hand over the mantle to their successors, they need to be on the right side in the
We've been seeing that.
years.
One would argue we've been seeing that over the last few years happening one way or the other. But yes, you're right, that was not a rapid fire, but I did get a number out of you. You know, just as we wrap up, and frankly, I think there's nothing more entertaining than election season. It's serious stuff, but it can also be fun. Just if you are still going through all of those numbers, wondering what it means, these are the top takeaways. One, this is a clear hat trick for the BJP and the NDA. They're poised for a comfortable win if I look at the numbers of exit polls at this point. They are seeing gains in the southern part of India, in Odisha and West Bengal. So these are the new greenfield areas or brownfield areas, so to speak, that the BJP is going into. Number three, there are relatively lesser spots where the NDA is losing. So the conventional wisdom told us that they would hit a peak and then only way to go is down. That's not necessarily what's happening as for the exit polls today. The only question mark or joker in the pack or X factor, whatever you want to call it, is perhaps Maharashtra, where the picture is still unclear. It could go either way. It becomes very exciting even after 4th of June, because then that state gears up for state assembly elections. With that, I want to thank all of you for joining us on the show this evening. Thank you for our viewers as well. And let me tell you, this is not all that you're going to see on NDTV Profit. You will see special show with market experts on what to do with your Monday trade. And of course, you know where to tune in on Monday morning as soon as markets begin and even earlier. Thank you so much for watching.
साल में जो हुआ वो तो सिर्फ ट्रेलर है, ट्रेलर।
कांग्रेस पार्टी की सरकार साल का 1 लाख रुपया बैंक अकाउंट में डाल देगी।
जो मर्जी करते हैं, पावर में है, पावर इज टेम्पररी।
सबसे बड़ी कोई देशभक्ति का काम हो सकता है कि 2024 में इनको हटाओ।
Independence starts where financial dependence ends. Women's Day might have passed, but the data compiled by a report named Women and Finance by CRISIL and DBS calls for your attention. For the longest time, women have been underestimated and underrepresented in many spheres of life, whether that's at home or at work. But for a change, there is a change this time, and I'm going to show you some mood-lifting data. Did you know that 47% of women make financial decisions on their own, and their independence when it comes to making financial decisions depends on 3 things: income source, age, and stage of affluence. Income source. 55% self-employed women take financial decisions on their own versus 39% of salaried women. Does that mean salaried?
A National Information and Technology Department will be with us, Dr. Surjit Bhalla. So it's a pretty packed panel. Ashok Malik with us, Amitabh Tiwari, Neerja Chaudhary, Vikramaditya Singh, the Lok Sabha candidate from Mandi. So it's a big panel, it's a big show as well. But first, let me go across to Rajiv Chandrasekhar. Thanks very much, Mr. Chandrasekhar, for being with us. So on an average, it's quite easily, if you look at the All India figures, the poll of polls has the NDA well above 350 at 361 on an average, the India Alliance at 145. You'd expect it to cross 400, but would you say that, you know, this is perhaps a more realistic estimate of where the NDA would have landed up?
So as Vishnu, thank you for having me on the show. And as Maria said, this is certainly not the result. This is the exit poll. And I certainly still will stick my neck out and say that the NDA results will be closer to 400 than 350. I still maintain that some of the losses that are being shown in Rajasthan and in Haryana and states like that are not really going to be losses for the BJP. But certainly it is very clear, as it was clear in the end of Feb, early Feb, when elections were being announced, that this will be the third term for Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. In the last 90 days, the Congress has tried its best to use all kinds of tactics, lies, misinformation,
Just one
deepfakes.
point to interrupt you for half a second. Rajasthan, in fact, of 25 seats, the BJP, according to exit polls, poll of polls, is projected to get 21, the India Alliance 4. So, you know, I mean, it's still a very strong performance. But please go ahead.
Yeah, so no, I was making the point that I think the last 10 years of the BJP and Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, it was clear to anybody who was taking a reasonable view towards these elections that the people were decisively going to give him another mandate. Of course, we had this spectacle of the last 90 days of the Congress and the India Alliance trotting out all kinds of tactics and negativity into these elections. And we said all along that the people of India will certainly show them the right direction and their response to this type of politics. And I think that is what these exit polls are indicating. And we will see on the 4th. I certainly believe that the results will be even better than what the exit polls are indicating when the real results come out on the 4th.
Okay, but Mr. Chandrasekhar, what what your political opponents and India bloc is saying is that they are at 295 and that just as 2004 when all the exit polls got it wrong, history will be repeating in 2024 as well.
Well, look, it's easy to be delusional till the 4th. I think they've done they've had a good run of about 90 to 100 days of talking utter nonsense. And the 4th will prove that they've been talking utter nonsense, including this delusional view that they were anyway close to fooling the people of India to giving them another mandate, especially after the people of India have seen what they did in the 10 years between 2004 and 2014. So there is no way that type of corrupt, dysfunctional politics the people of India will ever embrace anytime in the near term.
We are also joined by Mr. V. Muralidharan, the Minister of State for External Affairs. We'll go to him in a moment, but I wanted to go across to Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi first. Firstly, your broad reaction to this. It just seems that the India Alliance, a poll of polls shows them at just 145. And in many states where you would expect it to do well, for example, Karnataka, despite the recent assembly elections, it shows the Congress at just 6, the NDA at 22. Other than Punjab, where the Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress have both done relatively well, it just seems to be a washout. How do you look at these exit polls?
Well, you have many guests and your time is limited, so let me be very pointed. See, number one, I am reminded of so many of these polls. Nobody suggested a West Bengal result in 2021. You know what happened to the exit polls. In fact, very recently in all the 3 assembly elections in the reverse direction in favor of BJP, nobody predicted Madhya Pradesh sweep, etc. in the exit polls. They got it wrong on both Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, but in favor of the BJP, they were wrong. And so on and so forth. The examples are many. So this caveat must be kept in mind. Exit polls, not opinion polls, can go grievously wrong. Number two, the 295 figure given today by the India Alliance was after a full day meeting in deep analytical consultation with local persons who were leaders who got inputs and they discussed and analyzed, and then they came to this figure. So it's not just a rabbit out of the hat which has been given. Now I'll tell you why. Obviously, the figures you've given in this poll of polls or the average of all these polls is very depressing if true. But that's a very big if. I'll tell you why. You have each of the polls has given some, although very small, seats in the south. I believe that in the 60 seats in the south of Tamil Nadu and Kerala together, if they get even one, would be a very great miracle. These 2-3 seats everywhere addition is wrong because there is absolutely none of the so-called Modi wave, none of the so-called religious divide on which it has worked in some parts of the north. Number two, you have clearly overstated in many areas. Take, for example, all the sweep states, the saturation states, have been repeated with same saturation figures. 100% back in Gujarat, 100% back in Madhya Pradesh, 100% not back, but first time in Chhattisgarh, etc., etc. Now, I believe that, yes, we may not win in those states, we may not cross the halfway mark, but to expect that you will have 100% repeat there is very wrong.
Dr. Singhvi, I want to understand from you, out of these 295 that is being predicted by the India bloc, how much is the Congress itself looking at?
No, we have decided today itself that we are not going to speak in these bits and pieces and divisive voices. We have analyzed together in a very harmonious way. So we prefer to give you a 295 figure collectively. I'm not breaking it up because that's the decision. We don't want to break it up. Because ultimately we fight together, we win together, we lose together. And I'll tell you why there is so much of overstatement everywhere. I mean, I saw a figure somewhere that the vote share of the BJP in Punjab is more than the vote share of AAP. I don't think that's possible. I think they will do better in Telangana, but I don't think they'll do so much better as to put us way behind in Telangana.
There isn't a single outlier over here in any of the polls which shows the India Alliance winning. The lowest number is Dainik Bhaskar, which places the NDA at 281. So, I mean, it seems difficult to believe that all of them have got it wrong.
Well, as I said, there have been the examples I give you in 2021 assembly elections for West Bengal. In the last assembly elections of 2023, nobody predicted the sweep in favor of the BJP, even remotely, in Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. Nobody. Tell me which did. None of them. In 2020 Bihar assembly elections, nobody predicted for the RJD-led Mahagathbandhan. There are many examples. So I think it can be possible. There is also, of course, a very big situation of tall claims, overstatement. The 400 ke par is exactly what they did in West Bengal. And they got 70.
All right.
They said 250. So I think you have to be careful. You discover. Anyway, now we are 2 days away.
Okay. Dr. Singh, we appreciate your time. Let me go back to Rajiv Chandrasekhar for a quick final comment. Rajiv Chandrasekhar, I'm looking at Kerala numbers. This is a state from where you contested, from Thiruvananthapuram. The pollsters are predicting that there could be some numbers, not just, in fact, they are suggesting that NDA could win one seat. Which is that lucky one seat that could come in your kitty, or is this your alliance partner?
Maria, I just want to respond to you and, of course, to Mr. Manu Singhvi. First of all, I think Manu is hanging on to a very, very thin thread as saying that exit polls are wrong. I just want to point out to him very respectfully, almost every exit poll got these types of numbers in 2019, and you know what the results were in 2019. So hanging on to some thread of hope, I think, is probably what the India Alliance has left, and that's fine. As far as the south of India, and again, Manu mentioned that south of India, we will do well, we will not do well. I will stick my neck out today and tell you that in the south of India, the BJP is going to be the single largest national party in the south of India. So forget about the Congress. It is going to be BJP, which is going to be the largest party in these elections in South India, national party.
I just wanted to go across to Ashok Malik at this stage. Ashok, there are, despite the overall numbers which we've discussed, a couple of states which are absolutely fascinating, where there is a close contest. The BJP, it appears, is narrowly ahead of Mamta Banerjee in West Bengal. And there is a fight certainly in Punjab as well, where for the second consecutive election, the BJP hasn't done well.
But just a caveat here, Ashok, because, most of these pollsters are being careful about the 9 seats that went to polls today. In fact, Axis is not even releasing the Bengal data for a simple reason that because it went to polls today, they would rather wait and look at these 57 seats differently. Please go ahead.
Okay. Just a couple of points. Since these are various polls, and let's look at it directionally rather than go down to states.
Look at states
Having said that, if you look at the political trends, electoral trends over the past few weeks, what we've covered, what we've seen reporters telling us, what we've seen in terms of feedback from politicians and these polls, if these numbers are correct, if these numbers are anywhere close to being correct, that means the BJP has consolidated in the east, probably gained in places like Orissa, and it's broken through in the south as well. Okay? Whether it's 1, 2 seats or 20 is another matter, but it's certainly broken through in the south. Okay? Perhaps Telangana has delivered more seats and so on and so forth. In Bengal, whether BJP finishes ahead of Trinamool or the other way around is not something I don't want to go into. Mamta remains a very, very formidable local politician.
And it's very tight in the average of
I agree. But the point is the BJP won 18 the last time. I can see it holding about that, at least holding over that much, which means that the BJP has emerged as a sustained its performance in Bengal. It's emerged as a poll. It wasn't just a flash in the pan in 2019.
No, not at all. And its performance has been consistently going up, Assembly and Lok Sabha.
True.
And if you're marginally ahead of Mamata Banerjee, that is huge.
As I said, I don't want to go into whether it's marginally ahead or marginally behind, but it's holding on to roughly half the seats. Okay, which means that it's there for the long haul, which means Bengal's politics has changed in a sustained manner. And in the case of Punjab offers something very interesting. 20 years ago in UP, there were 4 parties in contention: the BJP, the BSP, the Congress and SP. And if a candidate won 28% of the vote, he could win the election. Punjab this time is seeing a similar contest. It's seeing 4 parties. So you will have very narrow margins of victory.
Sure.
You will have people getting 30% and winning. And it will consolidate 2 elections down the line, perhaps.
Manisha, he mentioned Orissa, and Orissa is absolutely fascinating. 21 seats. This projects the BJD at just 5. This was the party which had the largest number of seats in both Lok Sabha and Assembly last time around. The BJP at 15, the India Alliance at 1. So in terms of the vote tally, or the seat tally, I should say, of the NDA, Odisha contributing significantly, and this is the poll of polls.
No, I think, again, the seats can be anything on the 4th, but as far as the state of Orissa is concerned, I think an important lesson here, because Naveen Babu is slated to be on the verge of a historic record 7th term, etc., but there's something that does not allow him to impact the national elections. And now one can see that when there's time for change in Orissa, the only alternative present there will be the BJP. And therefore, it is time now for even regional parties to understand that there will be change in states, and when that change is happening, a national party called the BJP is knocking in unexpected geographies. And that is something that, south of the Vindhyas is kosher, you're not going to go here, or you're not going to come to this side. I think those divisions are certainly being whittled down, and the message, even if there were 1 seat in Tamil Nadu and 1 seat in Kerala, the message will be the same, as you can see, is happening in the state of Orissa. What's the possible change when regional parties decline? And the answer will perhaps be the BJP.
Yes. So let me bring in Shazia Ilmi of the BJP, and Surjit Bhalla, psephologist, economist, is also joining us. Surjit
We
Bhalla.
have to ask Surjit which hat he is wearing.
Today.
Economist or pollster or both?
Yes, and Surjit, I remember in the conversation you and I had on how India votes, you had predicted a number that was between 320 to 350, and most pollsters are suggesting the upper range. So which number, according to you, in all these poll of polls, and poll of polls of NDTV is also suggesting a number of 361, I would say. What's your estimate? Which is the outlier, or will it go on the upper range?
Well, thank you very much for having me. But what I will say, I've done the forecast, and I've been in the forecasting business for quite some time. And if you look at the exit polls, the usual caveat that this is not the real thing, but which is coming on June the 4th. At the risk of making yet another forecast and hoping to be right, these numbers are suggestive of a minimum number for the BJP. Because what happens, there is a way, as you can see, that all the opposition has stressed narratives as an escape outlet from the reality. So when there's convergence in the exit polls like this, if anything, these are minimum estimates, because as a pollster, you're looking at these numbers and you say, it can't be right. What if I get it wrong? What if I'm 20 points off or 20 seats off than the other guy? So my last forecast is that these numbers will be exceeded. If you want a number from me, and I said that on your program as well, that it could go to 370 for the BJP on its own. And that's where I'm leaning towards.
Okay.
The second number, 400 par, is very likely to happen for the NDA. So I think this is a historic election. This election shows that basically of all the elections that we have held since 1952, Modi's leadership of the BJP and the NDA will exceed all the records, including likely Rajiv Gandhi's record of 49% votes and the Nehru record of 371 seats.
And Dr. Bhalla,
But
just
that's
very
for the
briefly.
NDA. Yeah,
Sure.
that's for the NDA. You have to look at it because this is an alliance whereas both Rajiv Gandhi and Nehru fought alone on the Congress.
I just wanted to, Dr. Bhalla, a quick comment on, numbers as staggering as this, assuming that, with the usual caveats, we keep saying that it will bring a great deal of cheer to the market, coming just a couple of days after the latest GDP results, which have placed us, quarterly results, or GDP, which have placed us at above 8%. So this would bring further cheer to the markets.
Absolutely. Look, also what will bring further cheer to the market is what is happening in the US, etc. So, we are living, stock markets are global, and the news from the US is also very positive. But independent of the news from the US, the stock market in India has been in the doldrums lately, or didn't rally as much as could have been expected because of the narrative setting of the opposition that, look, this is a close election, the BJP might lose, etc. So besides a relief rally, there would be, if you will, a reality rally likely to be again on Monday.
Okay.
If I could add something there, it's not just the stock markets, which are already a bit, some would say, overvalued. It's also the likelihood of a stable government in India, continuity in economic policy and strategy, leading to more investment, particularly in manufacturing, which is looking to diversify from China to numerous countries. India is only one of them. But this really opens up the opportunity for us.
Sure.
And Amitabh Tiwari, someone who has been watching market very closely, there'll be reasons to cheer, but we did see a lot of skepticism, which led to, in fact, Home Minister, Prime Minister, all of them give some kind of reassuring words during the course of interviews.
Yeah, so markets have been nervous, perhaps impacted by the social media chatter. But as Ashokji has said, markets like continuity, and any number above 303 for the BJP is likely to be good news for the markets, and we could see the markets going up on Monday. And of course, they would be adjusting based on the results on June 2.
Massive swing going down when that entire conversation started taking place on low voter turnout, right? To this, it's been quite a journey.
Yeah,
in
because
the last
a 7-phase election is like a roller coaster, right? There are sentiments sometimes in favor of the NDA, sometimes in favor of the UPA. But if you see this interesting 295 number, Pawan Kheraji on the Hindi channel said 115 Congress is getting, which means 180 allies are getting. The allies are contesting themselves only on 215 seats. So he means allies are getting 85% strike rate because the Congress has contested on 328 seats out of these 543. So 180 out of 215 is what perhaps Congress is expecting the allies to win.
Okay. I wanted to go across to Ghanshyam Tiwari.
We also have KC Tyagi of the JDU joining us.
We do. But just if I could just get a quick comment from Ghanshyam, who's been waiting very patiently. If you take a look at the Uttar Pradesh numbers, while it's again staggeringly in favor of the NDA by these exit polls, 68 of 80, the India Alliance is up to 12. So in a sense, you open your account and are doing better off. But again, it's still considerable. It is a whitewash. It's not significant.
Good evening to you, and I want to congratulate everyone who voted and everyone who was involved in the voting process in this grueling heat. As far as the exit polls are concerned, it's a wish list of BJP.